Hi everyone, Joe Smiles here, Uncensored Natty Pro. So today, well, the first thing I need to do is snatches, and I haven't done snatches for 8 weeks, so we'll see how it goes. Plus we'll go through my video on insulin issues, hidden reasons you get insulin resistant. Yeah, okay. So let's warm up. Let's put it on. Ever wondered why so many people struggle with insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes even when they cut out sugar? You've probably heard people blaming carbs and sugar. You've probably jumped on the same belief bandwagon, but the real culprit might surprise you. It's not what you eat, it's what's happening inside your body at a cellular level, driven by inflammation and pro-inflammatory cytokines. So in this video, we're breaking down how chronic inflammation disrupts insulin signaling, why your muscle cells stop responding to insulin, and what you can do to fix it. By the end of the video, you'll understand why fat loss and metabolic health are not just about cutting sugar, but also about reducing inflammation and improving insulin sensitivity. Yep. So, which means you don't actually need any fixes or hacks. Before we dive into how inflammation messes with your insulin, and you don't need any vinegar. In your body. Insulin is a hormone produced by your pancreas that helps regulate your blood sugar levels. Think of insulin as a key that unlocks the doors to your muscle and fat cells, allowing glucose, so sugar from the food that you eat, to enter and to be used as energy. When your insulin is working properly, your body effectively moves and efficiently moves glucose from your bloodstream into your cells, keeping blood sugar levels stable. But when your body becomes insulin resistant, those doors don't open as easily, forcing your pancreas to produce more and more insulin to try and compensate to shift your blood glucose. And no, eating no glucose doesn't solve the problem, so stop believing that. Yeah, it doesn't, because as I covered yesterday, it doesn't exist. Over time, insulin resistance leads to you having chronically high insulin levels, which is called hyperinsulinemia. This means that eventually diabetes is right, let's see how this goes. God knows how I'm going to get down there. That's what oh, fucking hell. How am I yeah, not sugar. How am I fucking hell, I haven't done these for so long. One of the biggest hidden causes of fuck. Inflammation got stiff. Is most commonly caused by excess body fat. Oh, fucking hell. Organs and tummy. See how this goes today. Aren't just passive storage units for energy, just sitting there making you feel warm, cozy and protected from the big bad world. And yes, that's pretty much psychologically why people get fat. And if you don't believe me, you need to have a serious chat with yourself to figure those things out. But anyway, your fat cells actually release chemical messengers called cytokines, some of which are pro-inflammatory. It's my afternoon snack. Inflammatory refers to something that promotes or fucking shit, it's what I live off. So inflammation is your body's natural immune response to injury, infection or harmful stimuli, which means some of it is good. That's why I don't recommend my injury rehab patients take anti-inflammatory pills. No, I don't. And definitely not take corticosteroids. I don't get any of them to take corticosteroids because it will fuck up their... Anything it touches, it will atrophy. So if you guys ever get injured, don't bother with corticosteroids and don't try and get bought into it by consultants. Fuck. This means that your fat cells cause a long-term amount of getting better for your body. Great, huh? Not really. No, it's not great.
For body fat positivity acceptance.
Body fat positivity acceptance movement.
Overnutrition, not sugar, causes low-grade inflammation due to the accumulation of elevated levels of glucose and or lipids in your bloodstream that occurs and then leads to the activation of various unfavorable metabolic pathways. So this results in pro-inflammatory mediators that are decisively involved
cytokines,
the pathogenesis of tissue-specific insulin resistance by interfering with insulin signaling
in the
pathways.
pancreas.
Once insulin resistance develops, it increases oxidative stress in beta cells in your pancreas.
Oh, okay, well I said it.
4 main pro-inflammatory cytokine or mediated troublemakers for you are
tumor
necrosis factor alpha. This increases inflammation.
They basically all cause the same problem.
Signaling. Number 2, interleukin 6.
Okay, it's getting better.
Glucose metabolism and promotes insulin resistance. Number 3, interleukin 1
fucking hell.
insulin producing beta cells in your pancreas. CRP is a inflammatory biomarker that has been considered as one of the major causative factors for the development of...
Oh, my bum is already getting bad. Because I've done a lot of standing today. Well, when I say a lot of standing, I mean next to nothing, 20 minutes.
Get into the cellular science behind insulin resistance. When insulin binds to your insulin receptor on the muscle cell, it normally activates a pathway that allows glucose to enter your cell.
Which is governed by GLUT4 or GLUT4.
Energy and movement. Receptors are proteins found on the surface of cells or actually inside your cells that receive and respond to specific signals like hormones, neurotransmitters, or other molecules.
Like the hormone insulin. So,
signaling molecules like insulin are the keys that fit into them to trigger
So basically, the insulin doesn't go around collecting up glucose. It doesn't really touch it. What it might bang into it, but it doesn't do anything really. The thing is, when it gets signaled, and then when glucose is in the blood, it gets signaled, and then it goes to the insulin receptors, and how it gets there is an upstream, what's known as an upstream cascade. So you would have problems like inflammatory cytokines causing a problem. Free fatty acids in the blood is predominantly the problem. So when I was saying earlier, the nutrition overload or the overnutrition, or an overload of fat cells which release the free fatty acids, and also eating a lot of fat releases free fatty acids into your bloodstream. So we have here signaling molecules. Yeah, they trigger a response. So the downstream effect is what goes on in and behind the receptor once the insulin binds to it.
Inside the cells. In terms of insulin receptors,
let's try 30
on the surface of muscle
kilos,
liver cells,
but I don't think I'll be doing any more than that today.
Insulin is released into the bloodstream. So your insulin travels passively through your bloodstream, carried by the flow of blood.
The key is passive.
Its target tissues, so that and liver cells.
Okay, I'll do 35.
Insulin molecules are released from your pancreas.
But I'm a bit stiff.
Your insulin enters your bloodstream and is transported throughout your body. So insulin then moves from your blood vessels into surrounding tissues, reaching your muscle, fat and liver cells. And when insulin comes into contact with insulin receptors on these cells, it binds.
Ooh, so much glucose.
Like a key fitting This then triggers a series of cellular signals.
I'm going to get metabolic problems. Get fat.
For energy and storage.
get severe diabetes.
Due to inflammation or excess body fat.
I'm not.
Leads to insulin resistance.
Although one of my kidney functions, my globular filtration rate, and one or two of my liver functions are not right, and I don't know why, but it might be due to a huge amount of medication I've had over the years. Probably is. We'll see. I'm waiting for some scans.
Receptors substrate 1. So insulin resistance is a key factor in the development of type 2 diabetes. Insulin resistance occurs when cells become less responsive to insulin, thus preventing glucose entering the muscle, fat, and liver cells efficiently. A crucial part of this process is insulin receptor substrate 1, or IRS1, which is a signaling protein that transmits insulin's message into the cell. So when your insulin...
Okay, so tyrosine is a amino acid, just like serine, and they are known as a residue, which just means it's part of an amino acid that makes up a chain of proteins, and it leaves a little bit behind. And these residues of tyrosine and serine are inside the receptor. And when the insulin, when the insulin molecule attaches to the receptor site, it causes a phosphorylation, so a phosphate group is attached to the amino acid, which then causes enzymic activity at the tyrosine residue.
To the insulin receptor, a specialized protein on the surface of the cells, it triggers a cascade of biochemical events. One of the first steps is phosphorylation. This is a process.
Yeah, phosphorylation. So imagine residues, the amino acid residues are like light bulbs, and the enzyme activity is like the electrician that is trying to plug in and wire up, these residues, or these plug sockets, although they're not like a plug. I'm not quite getting under the bar with that, because my shoulders hurt a bit. Okay, let's continue.
Is added to a protein which alters its function. Under normal conditions, tyrosine phosphorylation occurs, meaning phosphate groups attached to tyrosine residues on the IRS1 to
Yeah, so imagine the IRS1, which is a protein. It's like a docking station on the residue, and this, when the that was better with the head. When you have insulin resistance, the serine phosphorylation blocks the activity of the docking station, which is the IRS1, which is the insulin receptor substrate 1, and then prevents further downstream. So we're talking inside the receptor and in the receptor towards the muscle cells from working properly, which then doesn't allow the glucose from your blood to get transferred into the receptor, and then from the receptor into the muscle cells or the fat cells or the liver cells. Let's continue. Hang on. That was a better one. I haven't done these for fucking 2 months, so fucking normally do 80. Most of them times 10 times 1 minute's rest.
To properly relay the insulin signal, this then leads to glucose uptake from your bloodstream into your cells for energy. However, in chronic conditions of chronic inflammation, often caused by excess body fat, cells release pro-inflammatory cytokines, which are your signaling molecules that promote inflammation. These cytokines activate serine and threonine kinases, which are those two are enzymes that modify the IRS1 in an abnormal way. Instead of undergoing triosine phosphorylation,
triosine phosphorylation.
IRS1 is
because it can't, because the fatty acids. So what makes this cascade not work? 5. What makes this cascade not work? It's the inflammation. So like I said, interleukin 6, tumor necrosis factor, alpha, blah blah blah. There's 4 main ones, and then the free fatty acids from being too fat, so your body fat levels, and that problem is based on 2 things: how fat you get, so overeating, and then how much you're not burning off, or burning, in this case not burning, and then your genetic set point, although it's not set point in how you might have heard it in the past. It's not actually a set point at all. It's a set point, I'm just saying as an example, where you have a certain genetic limit or point where you get fat and then you end up with a dysfunctional cascade within the receptor site, and a receptor protein, and then problems occur, which then doesn't allow the glucose to leave the bloodstream and then get into the cells. Even has to go to fat cells. And that's the problem. You can have one person that's overweight and they get diabetes. You can have another person diabetes, let's say. You can get another person who is morbidly obese and they haven't got diabetes, and that is just, they're lucky. However, you might have heard that there's such a thing as healthy obesity. Well, that was a thing until people realized, and it was a matter of time. I don't know why. I presume it's because researchers can be woke as well, but I think it's when they start realizing, well, hang on, there's no such thing as a healthy obese person. They will have metabolic problems, even if it's small compared to a normal body fat percentage person. They just will. So they will have some form of insulin resistance, or the start of a molecular cascade of insulin resistance to a very small degree, but they'll be lucky, but they'll just end up with other problems. And you've already got metabolic problems when you start getting low-grade systemic inflammatory cytokines, which everyone who gets overweight and or obese and or morbidly obese will start having. And then the way you interact with your environment, which is other people, yourself, how you decide what food you want, mixed with your genetics, then cause you to have obesity-related diseases such as metabolic syndrome, diabetes, insulin resistance, cancer. The leading cause of cancer is getting fat, again because the cells cause inflammation and they dysregulate the way they dysregulate homeostasis, don't they? And there was a campaign actually by Cancer UK, and they had to remove their adverts because all over the UK they had what is the second leading cause of cancer after smoking, and they had like the O, and then the B was underlined, so there was no B. Then there was an S, and then there was no I, there was just a line, and then no T, a line. So they didn't want to, they were trying to get you to spell it out so that people realised, hang on, the second leading cause of cancers is actually not sugar, not glycation, which glucose goddess goes on about, which is actually aggregated glycation end products, ages, and it's nothing else. It is getting fat and staying fat. Yeah, it's bad, isn't it? It's just so much misinformation. So they had to, because fat people, especially the ones with body positivity movement, acceptance, they got highly offended. Like, how dare you say that I'm gonna get cancer, and cancer is the second leading cause of, obesity is the second leading cause of cancer. How dare you? And they got them removed, the adverts. And then Cancer UK came out with loads of leaflets to show people this is the mechanism. And some people have said to me, why are you talking about the biological mechanisms of insulin problems? Well, because there's so much misinformation. If I just said to you guys, no, it's insulin isn't a threat to you, and no, you can eat carbs and you can do this and you can do that, you wouldn't believe me, because there's so many people, and so many people believing them, saying you've got to eat zero carbs or no carbs, or you've got to have a piece of broccoli or tomato first, and then you can eat your protein, or whatever the fuck she says, I don't know. And you just wouldn't believe me. But if I actually explain the pathophysiology, and my information is highly limited, you've got researchers that pick this apart, and they just go into one little area and they spend their whole life just working on one little area of everything I'm talking about in this 26-minute video. And then you have another load of researchers that just look at how these amino acids get phosphorylated, and then you'll have another group that will look at just the amino acids that switch on insulin sensitivity, and then you'll have another group of researchers that dedicate their life to just looking at which amino acids get switched off and then cause the cascade of problems. So it's highly complicated. So I can't just say what everyone else says, or just say, no, it's not true, because no one will believe me. They'll just think, you fucking weirdo, what the fuck are you talking about? There's a doctor that says, you've got to cut out all carbs. Well, how do I compete with that? Because in society values, I'm not a doctor, am I? I don't wear a white coat. Doesn't mean doctors know what they're talking about, because they don't. I spent my whole life and continue to see doctors and consultants that just chat so much shit to me. You literally wouldn't believe what they say. And it's not evidence-based, and I'm sitting there listening to this shit, thinking, what, please, let the earth open up and swallow me whole. They talk so much shit. So you've always got to fact check the evidence. Or when you go and have a massage, when you go and see a physiotherapist, when you go and see a doctor, ask them, what do you mean by that? Where's the evidence? Or if you don't feel like being confrontational or you don't want to cause any problems, go home and get them to write it down or something so you understand where they're coming from, and then research it or talk to me. Send me an email and I'll tell you what. You've got to realise a lot of people have various degrees of mental health problems, and you've got to look at mental health on a spectrum. You have very extreme poor mental health, and then you have extreme good mental health, and everyone's on that spectrum of poor to good to very good mental health. You can get consultants and doctors who are on that spectrum, but to the left of the spectrum, they're not happy. The parents wanted them to do their job. They don't keep up with the research. They're just there to tick a box, and they don't really know what they're talking about. So they have confirmation bias, where they're interested in something, but they don't understand it fully, and they get an orgasm and they go, oh yeah, I heard this, and then or one of my colleagues told me that, so then they think that that's the truth, and you are then on the receiving end of their biases, and there's many different types of biases. The good thing with me is that I'm very good at ironing out my biases, so I get rid of them either immediately or pretty quick. So I'm someone you could pretty much rely on. Not 100%, but maybe 98%, which is better than 98% of the population maybe. But you've still got to fact check me, and I will get things freaking wrong, but I make sure that I try not to at all costs. Yeah, so don't fall into the trap of other people's biases, because that's where you end up with you're on the receiving end. So they go home at night not thinking about what they've told you, and you're the one picking up the pieces, aren't you? Because you will suffer from other people's misinformation. 90. My bum is bad. Fucking pain all the time. Fucking hell. Jesus. I'm fucked at the moment. Let's continue. Yeah, fuck.
At serine and threonine residue, this serine and threonine phosphorylation disrupts your RIS1's ability to effectively transmit the insulin signal. So can you see how complicated it is? It's not just about saying don't eat carbs or sugar, that screws you up. It doesn't work like
it's
that.
too complicated.
On a cellular detailed level, which you have to understand. Otherwise you'll keep making the same mistakes over and over again.
Yeah.
So
you will.
The
You've got to understand a bit, or at least try to understand. Otherwise you're just gonna be repeating what other people say and their mistakes. So like I said, the IRS1 is a protein made up of many amino acids. And like I said earlier, it's like a docking platform. Once the tyrosine residues are phosphorylated, so they recruit other things, molecules, like I say in this video, PI3K, which are even further downstream to do other little things like cogs in the wheel. It's basically like cogs in the wheel. Once the insulin molecule docks onto the receptor, they're like little cogs doing all their little shit. But in insulin resistance, the IRS1 is phosphorylated on the serine residue site, or the amino acid, instead of the tyrosine. And that blocks the PI3K binding, which then starts the problems.
Pathways for glucose uptake, which leads to insulin resistance. With impaired insulin signaling, your glucose remains in your bloodstream rather than being absorbed into
Oh my god,
cells.
I'll do another set.
This causes elevated blood sugar levels and it increases the risk of type 2 diabetes. This molecular level disruption illustrates how chronic inflammation creates a vicious cycle. Excess fat, body fat, promotes inflammation. Inflammation interferes with insulin signaling, and insulin resistance further exacerbates metabolic dysfunction. Addressing inflammation through diet, exercise, and lifestyle mental techniques restore normal insulin function, improve your glucose regulation, and your overall metabolic health. All this means your muscle cells cannot hear insulin's message. Two, inflammatory cytokines, GLUT4 from moving to the cell surface. GLUT4, glucose transporter.
So, imagine, to make it easy, the analogy that I just said. Fuck.
Insulin's message leading to insulin resistance. Two, pro-inflammatory cytokines
They do.
or GLUT4 from moving to the cell surface.
They do.
GLUT4 or glucose transporter type 4 is like a shuttle.
No, I missed it, sorry.
Being absorbed into your cells, and then this causes elevated blood sugar levels.
So this blocks IRS1 from activating the PI3K pathway, which I don't know relatively anything about the PI3K pathway. That's another fucking lifetime's worth of research by specific researchers.
And insulin resistance further exacerbates metabolic dysfunction. Addressing inflammation through diet, exercise, and lifestyle medical techniques can help restore your normal insulin function,
Now,
improve your glucose regulation, and support.
okay, so this is an important point, because chronic inflammation fucks up your endothelium. So your endothelium is the endothelial cells that line all your blood vessels, so your smooth celled vessels. I don't know what we're doing. And but if you don't have insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes or type 1, you don't really have any of these problems. And you may have them from some genetic problem or some if you've got hypercholesterolemia or something. But this is where people like the glucose goddess get wrong. And also this Indian guy that's just been on Steve Bartlett's Diary of a CEO, who I can't stand that guy. He is literally mental. I don't know what's wrong with that guy, but you can see he's not right when he talks. I've got a deadlift today. One sec. And so what they're misrepresenting is that glucose causes all this damage to the lining of your arteries and veins and blood vessels, and then your mitochondria, which are powerhouse cells, also get damaged. They get damaged from S.O.S, which is oxidative stress producing free radicals, which exposure to sunlight, exposure to pollution in the air, like if you're in a city, exposure to smoking or smoking smoke, cigarette smoke, exposure to alcohol, maybe exposure to caffeine, and exposure to aging, which we're all exposed to. So there's multiple things that cause a breakdown, a degeneration of cells, protein cells, so on and so forth. Not just what's going on here. So I think that's the problem that they misrepresent, like the glucose goddess and some heart consultants, is they think that it's glucose fault. Well, it's not. You go out in the sun and you will get oxidative stress from the UV lights, and that's why you should wear sunscreen. And anyone that says otherwise, oh, sunscreen is fucking toxic and no, skin cancer is. Just you're concentrating on the wrong things. I get all the time, I get accused of having Botox and fillers. You just read my comments, but I don't, and I'm 48, and the reason being is because the key thing is being fat. Hang on, what am I doing here? I need to check my plan. Anyway, let's continue. And I do have big lips, and you can see, there's just the way I'm born. I don't have filler and Botox in my face. It's just because I've never drunk alcohol. I've never taken any form of drug whatsoever, apart from medication drugs, which does fuck me up, no doubt about it. I don't, when I go in the sun, I hardly do, and then I wear sunscreen, and the key thing is I keep my body fat levels really low. Well, how do you do this? Well, this is where I talk on here about lifestyle skills. You need skills, life skills. Because it's all fine saying, oh, reduce your calories, and then it gets more corrupt with, oh, cut out carbs, or eat carbs second or first or ninth or something. Nope, you just have to get your body fat levels down. Well, how do you do that? Well, it's bloody complicated, it's hard. People can go, oh, I can have chug a little shot glass of vinegar. I can do that life hack. But of course they're not really doing the life hack, which is losing fat for good, because all this is a distraction. 60, 70, 80, 90. 110, 20. It's a distraction, isn't it? Because she doesn't know how to do it. I know how to do it. I know how to get other people doing it. That's my fucking job. I've been doing it since my fat loss S.O.S since the mid 2000s, the noughties. I know how to manipulate people's brains and make them do things that they actually want to do, even though they can't do them. But when I show them how to manipulate their own brain, they're like, fuck, I can actually do this and not worry about all the shit. But you've got to get educated from the right people who understand psychology very well, how the body works very well, how training works very well, how diet works, or nutrition, should I say, shouldn't say diet, very well. And the caliber of people that do that is not very good. It's not there, is it? Unfortunately. Diabetes in a plastic bottle. I do feel bad because I go through about 140 or 50 of these a month, and that's a lot of pollution, isn't it? Jesus, those poor turtles, because I can't fucking eat.
So all this means that your muscle cells can't hear insulin's message, leading to insulin resistance. 2. Pro-inflammatory cytokines prevent GLUT4 or GLUT4 from moving to the cell surface. GLUT4, GLUT4, or type 4, the shuttle that moves the glucose from your blood to your muscles. Normally insulin activates the PI3K and pathway which moves to the cell surface. Inflammatory cytokines block this process.
Oh, fuck.
In your body instead of being used for energy. Interleukin 1 beta cytokine decreasing the expression of your insulin receptor substrate 1 or the IRS1, and it inhibits your GLUT4 translocation to the plasma membrane.
Yeah.
Levels of interleukin 1 beta are increased in fatter or obese people and in
deal with it. We get help to change it.
Or type 2 diabetes patients and patients with metabolic syndrome. The interesting fact is that interleukin 1 beta actually decreases significantly after extensive fat loss.
Yeah, that's a very important point. Oh, this is interesting. So we now talk about the problems with free fatty acids in your blood. So, if you do want to try and sort yourself out, stop eating so much fat, at least for a time being, and then you won't have as much fat in your bloodstream causing free fatty acids whilst you're in a metabolically and hormonally depraved state. What did I say just a second ago? I can't even fucking remember because I don't normally talk when I'm training. I train. Fucking hell, my butt.
IRS1, and it inhibits your GLUT4 translocation to the membrane.
It does.
Levels of interleukin 1 beta are increased in fatter or obese people and in people with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease.
Yep. Because that's the cascade. It leads to fatty acid.
To 1 beta actually decreases significantly after extensive fat loss.
Yeah, so lose the fat. This is the thing people don't want to hear, isn't it? They want to hear a hack. They don't want to be told you've got to lose body fat. They go, fuck, I've tried that so many times. Tried every freaking diet and it's not working. So what do? Just give me 10 hacks. So the glucose goddess, she's basically like the female equivalent of the liver king. just spouting different misinformation and going, well, these are the 10 tenets, and the Liver King is, well, these are my 10 tenets. Who do you believe? They're both as doolally as each other. I mean, pick your poison, man. You want to fuck yourself up one way, follow the Liver King. You want to fuck yourself up another way, follow the glucose goddess. But if you get any results, it's simply because you've subconsciously cut out calories and therefore reduced your body fat and or even your body weight. Look at The Rock. He's had to reduce his body weight. Still got the same body fat percentage, very low, but he's lost, what was he claiming, 60 pounds of muscle? 50 from his steroid use. So again, high testosterone from steroid use is toxic. Causes inflammatory stress inside the body and the brain. That's why they go a bit mental. And you end up with the same problems: cancer increase and metabolic problems and heart problems. It's pretty sad. Yeah, sad, man. Yeah. Let's continue.
Plus, cytokines also trigger lipolysis.
Oh, yeah.
Breakdown of stored fat into free fatty acids.
What does that do?
Too many free fatty acids in the bloodstream can further block insulin signaling, creating a vicious cycle.
So I was just explaining.
Insulin resistance actually starts in your brain in the region called the hypothalamus.
Yeah, it kind of does.
It creates dysfunction in your normal balance of hunger and satiety signals. As it increases, so does your calorie intake, which then leads to more fat gain, which then dysregulates the hypothalamus even more, which then changes your behaviour and towards food and the way you move and eat.
Yep.
Excess calories.
Can you believe that? When you get fat, it actually literally corrupts your brain, the way you think in your hypothalamus. I got to sort my bum out. Sorry.
Lipotoxicity. And lipo is a short and scientific name for fat, and toxicity is when fat becomes toxic to your brain and your body.
When do you hear anyone talk about the toxicity of fat, but you only hear people talk about the toxicity of carbs, don't you, or sugar?
Such as diabetes and polycystic.
But the main problem is that.
Let's not beat around the bush.
Bush.
Fat in your diet and the composition of those fatty acids in the fat component have a significant role in you developing insulin resistance. So
yeah. Fuck my bum. Fuck's sake. Yeah.
Yeah. What man?
This is society. Sheep. Yeah. What the fuck you talking about, man? Fool.
Pro-inflammatory cytokines cause oxidative stress and damage your mitochondria. So pro-inflammatory cytokines contribute to oxidative stress.
This is what I was talking about earlier in the session, my session.
Free radicals and antioxidants. Free radicals are highly reactive molecules that can damage cells, and antioxidants are compounds that neutralize free radicals to prevent damage. So this oxidative stress or imbalance between your free radicals and your antioxidants harms your mitochondria which are the energy-producing structures inside your cells. They're responsible for converting glucose into usable energy throughout almost every cell in your body. So, think you don't need carbon and sugar? Think again.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, I bet that fucks people's heads up.
Wait.
When your mitochondria become damaged, their ability to efficiently process glucose becomes impaired.
Yeah.
And this further disrupts cellular energy and worsens insulin resistance, making it harder for your body to regulate your blood sugar levels properly. For you to transition from pre-diabetes and insulin resistance to type 2 diabetes, you need to put on body fat bit by bit, which will increase your levels of interleukin 10 and C-reactive protein, and these pro-inflammatory biomarkers will increase the oxidative and free radicals.
So I was explaining earlier.
Reduce inflammation through diet, exercise, and proper lifestyle choices. Oxidative stress can be minimized.
Yeah, so once you start getting fat, fatter, you're on a slippery slope, because there's so many cascades mentally, physically, spiritually, psychologically, emotionally. Pathophysiologically, it just doesn't end well for people. The best people that it ends better for is women, because they don't tend to store as much body fat, visceral fat around their tummy. It's more prone genetically for them to be around their hips and bum, which isn't as bad. But that's one reason why they can last longer, is because they don't have as much inflammation caused by the gain of weight as they get older. I got my maltodextrin again. Not that I'm taking it for training, I'm just taking it because I live off sugar. So what do we have on this thing? Normally insulin activates, the PI3K pathway. That promotes the glucose into the cells. So once that activates, after the IRS1, which docks onto the residue of primarily tyrosine or serine, we then get the signal for GLUT4 transporters, which are proteins embedded in the cell membrane. They come out. They then allow doors to open in the receptors that then allow the glucose to go in. And then free fatty acids, pro-inflammatory cytokines, they fuck up the GLUT4 because they reduce the IRS1 activation, which then weakens the signal, which then causes a cascade of problems within the cell membrane and also within the receptor.
It's preserving your mitochondrial function and improving your glucose metabolism. So what's the end result of all these pro-inflammatory cytokines in your body and your blood? Well, it leads to high blood sugar, high insulin, dysregulation of thinking, metabolic. How fix it?
Fucking hell.
Because it's complicated to make the changes in the average human with...
Yeah, it's very complicated. It's very hard for people to lose fat. That's why you're going to need help. Professional help. Not dirty quick fixes. No one
Reduce your body fat
No one.
lower than
Oh God.
You want your visceral fat around your
No one.
really low.
No one really does things on their own, do they? They do it with help from other people, primarily from people that know more than them, and then you can become the expert over time. So what I do is I give people the tools for life, but they're not diet tools, because dieting is not a real thing. It's life, it's neuroscience and psychology skills. That's what you need. And no one wants to keep losing fat, adding fat, losing fat, adding more fat throughout their life, do they? You just feel like you're a bit of a loser or you've got problems. Well, I can tell you it's not your problem. The problem is far bigger than you, so you've got to stop blaming yourself. But I know you're blaming yourself, everyone blames yourself, we all blame ourselves, but we have to stop it because life's more complicated than that. We have a responsibility to try and do better, but again, that responsibility is wrapped up in our life experiences and the way our brain is wired, and we've just got to rewire it to the best of our ability so we can get better results. But that process is tricky, and it does involve help from other people like me. Especially people who walk the walk and talk the talk. That's someone you want on your side, right? Not dipshits.
This lowers your circulating pro-inflammatory cytokine levels, improving your insulin function. It's common for me to hear most people say, I'll look ill and I'll look gaunt and skinny if I lose my body fat. I hear this all the time. This video isn't about addressing these mental gymnastics, but believe me when I say it's your misinformed beliefs and education that are stopping you from becoming fitter and healthier. Therefore, I'm advising you to get therapy and professional help from someone like me to help you achieve and improve your life. Also, increase omega-3 intake. Omega-3 fatty acids found in fish counteract inflammatory cytokines. This is easier said than done to make the change, but you can also take omega-3 supplement tablets, but don't go mad.
Don't go crazy.
Per week, and there's no benefit in believing more is better, especially
Nope.
with omega-3. 3. Improve gut health. A balanced gut microbiome lowers systemic inflammation. So eat
Bit too much bench press, to be honest. For a drug-free person every day at the moment, I'm doing a bit too much. And my recovery isn't that great because there's some problem with my kidneys and my liver. And I had a major problem with my thyroid, where my thyroid went really overactive. I've already got underactive thyroid, so I'm on medication, thyroxine for that. So that's the other thing, isn't it? I'm on thyroxine, right? My thyroid was bad for years and years, and no one knew. And it goes to show that even with a thyroid problem, like a major thyroid problem, you're still looking at figuring out a mindset for your problems.
Strength training is essential not only for optimizing insulin function, but also for improving your body composition by increasing your muscle mass and reducing your fat. Ultimately, strength supports longevity and enhances your overall quality of life as well. 5. Manage your stress and sleep. Chronic stress and poor sleep increase cortisol, which worsens inflammation and insulin resistance. Here's a 2022 study that explains that poor sleep quality and or duration may impact various biochemical processes associated with oxidative stress and inflammation. This may in turn promote whole body insulin resistance, particularly in middle-aged females. And another study...
We all know that sleep fucks everyone up, don't we?
That when the body experiences stress, it releases glucocorticoids, which is a class of steroid hormones, including cortisol, that help regulate metabolism, immune response, and inflammation. Elevated levels of glucocorticoids in your bloodstream can increase your blood sugar levels, which leads to oxidative stress, the imbalance between harmful and free radicals, antioxidants, and further creating a feedback loop that prolongs. Study goes on to explain that the outcome depends on your body's current physiological state and external factors. For example,
I'm a bit late training today.
Those caused by shift work can interfere with
Leander's home.
corticoid levels and weaken immune system function. Depending on whether these feedback loops are in balance or if one dominates, your body may either regulate inflammation.
So I'm just summarising the problems here. Fucking hell. And what you can do about it. But of course, this conclusion is all academic masturbatory bullshit, isn't it? Because it's putting it in practice, which is really hard. It's a bit like me training at home with my bum injury. It's like, I know what I'm doing, right? But it's still hard for me to do. Can you imagine someone like you who's not an expert in this area and they have adversity in their life, or you have adversity in life, and you have to then try and train or eat better. How do you do it? Well, it comes down to retraining your brain, doesn't it? Because that's the top of the umbrella, and then underneath the umbrella you have all kinds of stuff like your training, your nutrition, how much to eat, how much to drink, how you interact with people, how you interact in different environments, situations. Seven. Six, seven. Oh, Jesus. Fucking pain, man. Oh. Oh, sorry. Shit. Fucking nightmare. Okay. Oh. 1.25. Oh, what's that? .25. Okay.
Effectively, or experience prolonged inflammatory responses due to continued stress exposure. The way to control sleep and stress is to exercise hard throughout the week and make regular sleep times a priority, just like you would do with exercise training. You also need to do psychological techniques and to regulate your emotions. Okay, conclusion. Fix the root cause, not just the symptoms. You can see that there's a cascade of hormonal and processes, including dysregulation of your brain and your body, that cause you to become insulin resistant. Yeah? You won't fix your health problems or your overweight problems, carbs or sugar, because that doesn't fix your complex biological problem.
Yeah, it doesn't fix the underlying problem, does it?
Carbs or sugar. If you cut out sugar, you'll have less blood glucose for that time that you're doing it, but your body will do everything it can to successfully create its own glucose out of other foods.
Yeah.
Cutting out sugar and carbs to solve your problems is like having a leaking drink in your fridge, and every time you open your fridge, you get a towel and wipe the leak instead of removing the leaking drink bottle. And you can't eliminate sugar forever. Even if you don't eat it for a period of time, you'll still get a build-up of glucose in your bloodstream, and you'll still produce too much insulin, and you'll have cells being insulin resistant.
Yeah.
You'll still have your insulin receptors having reduced sensitivity to your insulin. You won't ever change this unless you reduce your body fat percentage right down and reduce your fat intake, and this will reduce your pro-inflammatory cytokines. Most people think insulin resistance...
Yeah, that's so important. Because it's not going to change if you keep doing these hacks. I just got to keep hammering this through to you guys. It's just not going to work. Even if you do zero carbs, once you start overeating, you're going to have literally as bad problems as when you're overeating with carbs beforehand. And I did talk about training. Weight training is one of the best things you can do to reduce to increase your insulin sensitivity and reduce your insulin resistance. Because the more muscle fibers you have, the more muscle cells, the more muscle cells you have, the more receptors you can have.
It's all about sugar and carbs, but as you've learned here, chronic inflammation plays a huge role. If you want to improve your metabolic health, you need to address inflammation at its source by reducing your body fat right down, managing stress, eating anti-inflammatory foods, and exercising which involve sugar, and exercising regularly throughout your week or your whole life. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit the like button, subscribe for more scientific health insights, and share this video with someone who you think needs it. Please stop influencers' videos and stop yourself from listening to other
just stop.
on social media. They're all fit and
Yeah.
making you thick.
They are. They really are.
Let's help more people understand the real causes of insulin resistance and how to fix it naturally. In the meantime, check out this video as you'll probably find it interesting, and why not
How fat cells make you...
your experiences with insulin resistance
How...
or your body weight issues.
How they affect your brain. How fat cells affect your brain and make you either fatter or slimmer. Now, that's interesting, isn't it? Have you watched those videos? I think I've done 3 parts on that. Again, it's hard, isn't it, for people to get their head around, especially when they don't want to hear the truth these days. Bloody Gymshark, I tell you. They don't get Gymshark stuff. I got these shorts of Gymshark. I'm never buying Gymshark again. The tracksuit pants I was wearing yesterday were Gymshark. No, never again. So we've got these 2 things left. And then we're done, guys. Front of neck today. Oh Jesus! Oh God, this is ridiculously painful. I'm trying not to do anything about it. Just try and let it. Just feel like I'm shivering a bit with the pain from my bum. Oh Jesus! It's not fun training when you're in pain, but most of the time you've got to do it because the pain isn't always. Just because you've got pain doesn't mean it's bad or it's doing you damage. It's really important to remember that. Not all pain equals harm, or should we say, as the saying goes, hurt doesn't equal harm, does it?
And he was explaining the benefits, essentially.
It doesn't. Pain, hurt doesn't equal harm. But again, it's hard to judge, for the layperson when hurt is causing harm and when it's not. You can guarantee most of the time it's not causing harm. If you use a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the worst pain you could ever have in the world, and 0 being no pain, then that's a visual analog scale, it's called. That's a good way. I use it all the time when I'm rehabilitating patients when they're in a lot of pain. And remember, pain isn't always physical either. We can have a lot of pain which is psychological. I know for a fact I don't have much of that, but again it comes down to me having conditioned my mindset over so many decades. But the average person will carry a fair bit of psychological, emotional pain linked to their pain. No, don't. That would be a type of psychological pain, and then you've got things like how people get pain to begin with. Well, pain is biological, isn't it? Psychological and sociological, hence the biopsychosocial model of pain. So biological is, I hurt my knee, it's biologically, physically damaged, a bit like when you get fat. You you get biological damage. Then there can be aspects of psychological pain related. So how you interpret the pain. Do you catastrophize it? Do you view it as something that limits you? Are you avoiding exercise, certain things, activities? Quality of life is going down maybe. These are psychological burdens. Then you have sociological, so how you interact with family members with your pain, what they say to you, what you say to them, what's in the environment with your pain. If something bad's happening in the environment, it may exacerbate your pain. Then we've got parts like your finances and how you view yourself in the world in terms of societal and cultural ways when you're in pain, and maybe your roles and your identity change, so that can cause problems. And then blend all that together, you then end up with something in pain. So I do a push press with this, and then when I can't do any more, I do an overhead press, and then when I can't do any more overhead press, I turn it into a bit of a push press. Although a push press should actually come off the rack, and the rack is the collarbones and the shoulder and the front of the shoulders, whereas I'm not doing that here. I'm just turning it into a semi push press thing. So that's how I get past the sticking point on those. One more of those and we're done for the day. Resting. Sorry, got to excuse myself, this is getting really painful. I have to lie on the sofa for the rest of the evening until I go to bed. See, now this could increase my pain, couldn't it? How I view the way I'm fitting into the world at the moment with my biological pain, the state of my colorectal passage. So how do I interpret spending a lot of time on the sofa, hardly going out for the last 8 weeks? How do I interpret that in my pain sociologically, psychologically? Does it make it worse? Does it make it better? Does it have no effect? Got to analyze these things, increase your emotional regulation with these concepts, and also increase your self-awareness. And those two things, the emotional regulation or self-regulation and the self-awareness, is also vitally important for long-term sustainable permanent fat loss. Same thing, it's not all of it, but let's just say for these purposes, it's all in the head. It's all how you approach absolutely everything. But of course, yesterday I was talking about personality and free will. And when you bring that into the equation, then things are obviously more complicated. But that tends to explain what you're already doing, and the decisions are how you're going to make the next decision in your life. Okay. Alright guys, I'm just going to finish off with ab rollout. Taking up enough of your time today, and shoot me some questions and get some good help. I'll catch you all later. Peace out.